Hey guys, welcome back to a new episode of The Closet Hooper. We're back. It's been almost 3 years since the last recording, or the last few recordings I made, and we're going to be jumping back into it with an interesting episode today, I'd say. Today is Sunday, July 19th, World Cup Final, but the main topic of this video is to talk about where I think the best landing spot for LeBron James should be, talking about all the different places he could go, as his decision is probably imminent for tomorrow, either in any time during this coming week. It's likely he'll announce it himself. So I definitely wanted to get my thoughts in on that before he decides, because I think I have some strong opinions on where I believe his best spot will be. So let's get right into it. I'm not gonna hide it. We're gonna start with what I believe the strongest option for LeBron is, and I believe that's the Miami Heat. Now, the Miami Heat, I've seen the issues pointed out with them. Say the lack of shooting. It doesn't have like these kind of. It has some of the story. LeBron's played there before, but not as much as Cleveland. How much of a chance does he have to win? Even with Giannis, that whole roster seems stripped down. What could LeBron add to that? But doing some digging, before I go into what I found in researching the Heat and what they could offer as a fit for LeBron, just off the bat, the core things that I see at the top of the list that I think LeBron will appreciate and no other team has as good. No other team that LeBron's thinking about going to, or at least is projected to go to out of all of his choices, none of those teams have what Miami has. In terms of the things that I'm going to say. First off, none of the coaches outside of Steve Kerr with the Warriors are as good as Eric Spoelstra, flatly. Nick Nurse, he's won a championship, but he does not have that kind of pedigree. Kenny Atkinson, going through a tough stretch right now with some of his quotes during the conference finals, and him being the coach of a team that has been deemed by many, including myself, not to be a mentally tough team. And who are some of the other options? Denver's an interesting one, but regardless, Eric Spoelstra is the best coach LeBron will have out of all these. He's widely regarded as the best coach in the league, and the numbers back it up. He's the longest tenured. He's been very successful, even when he hasn't had great teams, like say when LeBron was on the team, Jimmy Butler-led teams. He has been known for being able to maximize the talent around him. The Heat are known for bringing in undrafted players. I can just name them all: Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin. Drafting Jaime Jaquez, and he came in and fit immediately in the rotation for the Heat. Building up Bam Adebayo, who was never projected to be as good as he is now, and he's now suddenly their cornerstone piece, their homegrown talent that has endured throughout all of the eras of the Heat. And it's a cliche, but the quote Heat culture, I think, lends itself best to the Heat are a mentally tough team by nature because of the way Spoelstra coaches the team, because of the reputation of the team. That's been working for years now, pretty much over a decade at this point. And I think that'll continue with LeBron on the team. So I think it's a good fit in that department. The other thing none of those other teams have is Giannis is the best player, the best teammate LeBron will have out of any of those other teams. Curry, it might be a slightly better fit. Same with Jokic, maybe. You could argue Jokic would be a better player than Giannis right now, but Denver's not really a serious option, I would say. Out of all the other teams, Giannis is the best player LeBron will have. And in that department, I don't think any other team can match that. No other team has a defined player who LeBron can be the number two with, and it would be okay, that kind of makes sense. I would say Giannis is the best player there, and he's the one guy I feel that I trust in a two-way sense. His offense and his defense are both reliable. He doesn't have a clear deficiency. I would say his main deficiency right now, more than anything, is injuries, as opposed to what he does on the court, because he has been banged up a lot more these past couple years. But the other thing with Giannis being there, and this is kind of a counter to Curry and Jokic, because while those guys are both really good, you could say this about the Warriors, but I think it would work best here. LeBron can be the primary ball handler on this team. He can play the point guard. People are looking at the Heat and saying some of their biggest issue besides shooting is who is the point guard on the team. That's why they were rumored to be going for Ja Morant before he went to Portland. That's why they're currently in rumors with trading for Russell Westbrook. But I think LeBron would fill that void. When the Lakers won in 2020, LeBron was the point guard. And LeBron being the point guard at the time lent itself to the Lakers being able to play a big defense-first lineup that you could rely on LeBron and AD's shot creation abilities to generate enough offense for that team to be successful. And it was. They ended up winning the championship. And their defense, I think, was at the forefront of that. They had the best defense in the league that year because of their size, because of their length, and perimeter athleticism. They were able to dominate teams from a physical standpoint. LeBron can have that here in Miami. It is the exact same kind of lineup. Just the projected starting five would be LeBron, Giannis, Wiggins, Bam. Giannis and Bam is already an amazing front line. Wiggins is a really good perimeter defender. And I didn't mention the fifth guy because it's kind of an option. You can either go for Davion Mitchell, who is a great perimeter defender for his size. He's 6 foot, but he can fill in that perimeter guard spot defensive role. And then Tim Hardaway Jr., or the other option is Tim Hardaway Jr., who shot 41% from 3 last year on 7 attempts per game, was a great help for the Nuggets during the regular season. He could fill in that spot and give Miami's first five like the depth of shooting that they need. They would have enough shooting at that point, hopefully, to compensate for. In my opinion, at this point, because it's such an unknown, I could only describe it as a kind of a clunky fit between Giannis and Bam. Because last season, Bam's three-point volume was around 8 attempts per game, but he wasn't very efficient. He was shooting like under 30% from 3. No, what it says for the whole season, it was 32% on 5.5 attempts, but post All-Star break, around the time he dropped the 83 points, he was more like 28% on, I think, closer to 7 or 8 attempts per game. So unless Bam improves his three ball, the roster is just going to be shooting deficient. Now, not as deficient as I thought. Davion Mitchell last season was a 40% three-point shooter on 3 attempts, a little over 3 attempts per game. Tim Hardaway, obviously, I said 41% on 7 attempts per game. These are all rounded, but approximately. Wiggins was around 41% from 3 with 5 attempts from 3 per game. So the shooting is not terrible. Now, depth is definitely an issue on this team. Just going down the roster, Bobby Portis, who came in the Giannis trade, was also not bad. He shot 45% from 3 last year on almost 5 attempts per game. So not a bad shooter, but it's hard to see what he can contribute on the other end. Good rebounder, I'd say. Defensively, though, he may be caught in some tight spots. But again, with Giannis and Bam, you could compensate for that easily. Simone Fontecchio was also a 38% three-point shooter on over 5 attempts per game. So that's another shooter. And then you got some guys where there's like potential. Jovic has been on the Heat for a bit, hasn't really I feel like established himself in that spot, but there's more room now with Hero and Norman Powell and Jaquez out, not on the team anymore. There's room now for Jokic to possibly spread his wings. And then some rookies, Drew Smith, Kyle Larson, Conwell, Donaldson, Gardner. So yeah, as you get even towards after the 7th or 8th guy, it's pretty slim pickings. Now that being said, if there's any coach you would trust to develop talent like that to just be able to do the little things really well, it would be Eric Spoelstra. The Heat have been known for being able to get the most out of these other players like that. But again, the main issues with this team is the lack of creator depth. Despite my feeling on LeBron, I think would be able to run the point guard spot at a high level. They definitely need possibly a secondary point guard. In my opinion, from my experience watching the Lakers and the other teams he's been on, I don't think Russell Westbrook really fills that need. He's a good playmaker, but maybe I'm scarred from watching him on the Lakers while LeBron was there. But I just feel like he has a little bit too. He has too much of that chaotic factor that to me outweighs his positives as a hustle guy and a good playmaker and a good rebounder for his size. He definitely has all of those, but he's also just become a complete non-shooter at this point, just a non-spacing threat, and that doesn't help the team in that sense. They need a point guard who can play make but can also knock down jump shots. I don't know who would best fill that role at the moment, but that would probably be what they need the most. That and more shooting. Defensively, though, again, I'm looking at that front line of LeBron, Giannis, Wiggins, and Bam. That sounds like it would be really difficult to go through in a playoff series. Like, say the Knicks ran into them. Like, the Heat could just switch everything, and then they've got a perimeter front. If they went out west, honestly, Giannis and Bam might be the best two power forward center combo in the league right now if you would want to try to guard Wemby. In terms of, like, just their switchability, they're both at the moment, I'd say, stronger than Wemby, but we know Wemby may improve from this year to last year. But I'd say they have that blueprint there. And, again, Wiggins is there, Davion's there. They're going to be a really tough defense. And the Heat are known to produce great defenses under Eric Spoelstra. Spoelstra's a good defensive coach. That's been dating back to his whole time there. So that's the reason why I think the Heat are the best spot. I think, number one, it has the best coach, the best culture. They were number one in pace last year. That's something else I forgot to mention. So they like to play fast, and I think that lends itself to LeBron. Instead of like trying to like work in the half court for different types of shots, this is a team that is going to struggle to score in the half court because of the lack of shooting. So them being number one in pace last year actually makes me feel optimistic that they can be able to generate looks to get LeBron going downhill, get Giannis going downhill, get Bam finishing in transition, and get all these guys to be able to play while the other team's on the back foot. Like, that would be good. That to me is good. Now, for LeBron, there's obviously the fatigue issue, but we'll see where it goes with that. But I think them being number one in pace is good because of what their half-court deficiencies might be. Yeah, I guess we can move on to the other teams. Second on my list was Philadelphia. This was the team that I didn't mention before. Or I mentioned Nick Nurse. Philadelphia simply because their one position of need right now in the starting lineup is power forward. It is a stacked team. My main issue with this one right now, number one, Embiid injury of inevitability. Not even like it's inevitable. Joel Embiid is going to get hurt. It sucks to say, but he is. Whether that be during the playoffs, during the regular season, no matter how much they sit him, the moment they will need him, he'll be able to play a bit. And he looked really good against Boston. I thought that was really impressive. And something that you could put on Embiid's resume is like, yeah, he jump-started that 3-1 comeback. That is how good he is. But him being hurt, like him getting hurt immediately the next round against the Knicks and looking slow and hobbled and him not having the defensive impact he once did because of these injuries, it just is a no-go. Also, I don't think the fit is very good for LeBron. He fills in at power forward nicely, but he's not going to be able to have the ball a lot in his hands. Like, you would obviously want Tyrese Maxey, like the younger guys. Tyrese Maxey, like I already think without LeBron there are some issues about how they're going to spread the ball with Maxey, Jaylen Brown, and VJ Edgecombe. And then you got to factor in Embiid playing sometimes, Embiid not playing. How that is all going to flow together, I don't see it. They could definitely put it together, but I don't think adding LeBron solves that. I don't think adding LeBron solves that usage issue that they're going to run into. So I don't think it's a great fit there. They would be a very good team in the East, though, I think. Even without Embiid, I think they would be a really good team. But it's just the fit is the main issue with me. They're not going to be as good on defense as Miami. The culture is not bad in Philly, but I don't think it's as good as Miami is. And Nick Nurse is also a really good coach. So I don't think it's a bad spot at all. I just think the fit and Embiid's injuries make it not number one. Number 3, I had the Cavs. Obviously, a great story. Love LeBron when he was on Cleveland, but I don't think this would be the time to return because, well, we'll start with the positives. I would say LeBron is the type of wing player that the Cavs have not had. Whether they've tried Max Strus or DeAndre Hunter or Isaac Okoro, like dating back to like ever since they got Donovan Mitchell, who was in that 3 spot, it's always been like kind of like good but not great. Because you had Max Strus, who's a really good shooter and has defensive hustle, but he just doesn't have that athleticism to be like a dominant 3-and-D player to have like a huge impact in that series. Isaac Okoro, not a great shooter, pretty good defender. DeAndre Hunter, I feel like at his peak was going to be the balance of that, but he's very injury prone at this point, and he just wasn't able to fit there. LeBron isn't really that either. He's not really a 3-and-D guy, but he's more than that. He's a good playmaker. He can play good defense. He gives them size. He gives them toughness. So that's all positive. I don't like his fit with Harden and Mitchell. It's very similar, in my opinion, to Luka and Reeves. In fact, I would argue it might be a little worse. Just a little worse. Harden is a very good regular season player, but I don't like him in the playoffs. Like, every year in the playoffs, he's had some very bad games. He's not very reliable. Like, obviously you can't, like, even the great players don't play great games every time, but Harden just kind of disappears. He loses all utility in the biggest playoff spots. So I don't really like that. Donovan Mitchell, he had a rough playoffs this year, but I think he's not someone who's scared of the moment. So, like, he's a really good fit. If James Harden wasn't on the team, I might have the Cavs over the Sixers. Harden is really the thing dragging me down. Harden is a part of this, but it also goes to say that this whole Cavs team hasn't, over the past few years in their losses, has not given off the best. They've kind of given off not being a very mentally tough team. Like not in the face of adversity, they come off like as kind of like a little bit weaker, a little bit like you saw it against the Knicks. In Game 3, they just kind of gave up. You saw it against the Pacers. They kind of just gave up after they blew that lead. They got blown out in Indiana. Like that, those things have happened too often for me to like believe that the whole roster is like mentally ready. Now maybe they've taken their lumps. They've gone through this journey with Donovan Mitchell like 3 straight seasons. So maybe they're ready for that. And adding Braun could be the final piece. Like they did make the conference finals, so that you could say that. But at the same time, it took them 7 games to beat the Raptors, 7 games to beat the Pistons. Like, that's really good, but the fact that they struggled so much shows to me that they're not quite as close as making a conference finals, which suggests they are. So I think that makes them a not very favorable spot, but again, it is Cleveland. It is the one spot I would say LeBron is universally beloved in. You could say Miami, maybe. Lakers, it's very, very, very polarizing there. But Cleveland is definitely the one spot he's most beloved. It would be an easy transition just to going back to Cleveland. He's got a home there. So logistically, geographically speaking, it's not an issue despite how far it is. Geographically speaking, though, that is a big advantage for the next team I have. Kind of the last real possibility I have, the Warriors. All these teams' odds have been shifting here or there. The Warriors, I feel like, were the one at the beginning where I was like, wow, that could be the team. So the Warriors definitely have positive. Kerr is a great coach. They still got the championship core. Steph and LeBron would be a great pairing. It'd be a super exciting group of players to have. Super exciting duo to watch because Curry's a guy who plays off the ball and LeBron is the ultimate playmaker. Like think about the 2-man game that Steph and Draymond run. If you put LeBron in Draymond's spot, that would be amazing. It would be amazing basketball to watch. It would be fun. Like, that is the main, I think, allure of the Warriors is Bron gets to play with Curry and Bron gets to have the most fun out of any one of these teams. And that fun can lead to winning. That's not to say that it's not a winning roster. However, it is not a winning roster right now. They have Jimmy Butler coming off a torn ACL, but he's not even going to start this season because he tore it close to midway through last year, I believe. So that is kind of in question because I thought if they flipped him for Anthony Davis, which was what was rumored, maybe they could, LeBron would have gone to the Warriors in a heartbeat. Like that, like LeBron, AD, and Steph, that sounds good. It's a good front line. They drafted the rookie, Yaxel Lendenberg. Like that guy looks really good as well. But the whole overall roster I don't think is very good. It's flexible, though. They do have the most flexibility of any one of those teams. They have future picks that they can use. It's interesting to see who they would try to get at this point. Anthony Davis was the main guy. And the dual part of that was that you could offload Jimmy Butler as a result of that. But I don't see them being able to do that now with Anthony Davis having re-signed. Jimmy Butler's still there, obviously, and his rehab's apparently going well, but I doubt he'll be there to start the season. So, again, I think this will be the most fun team. It's also an easy commute. LeBron was in LA, just going to Golden State. It's an hour-ish away from that area, so shouldn't be too big of a deal. Shouldn't be too much of a big deal in that department. It's definitely convenient to go there. I don't think it gives him the best chance of winning. Again, I think Miami does. I think even Philly and Cleveland have better overall rosters than the Warriors to contend. They're also all three of them are in the weaker conference too. Like going through the West is tough right now because the Spurs and the Thunder to me are in a whole tier by themselves above everyone else. So it's hard for me to like compare them, like their chances of getting to the finals when you're in the West. So that's pretty much the Warriors. Moving on to like some of the last ones. Outside chance. The one team that I think has an outside chance and I think would not be a bad team if LeBron signs there. They would be a pretty good team. Denver. If they can get LeBron and keep Peyton Watson, who they're trying to negotiate a deal with right now, I really like that team. I really, really like that team. Still got Murray, still got Christian Brown. LeBron's there, obviously. Aaron Gordon, whenever he plays. Nikola Jokic. Who do they have on the bench? Bruce Brown. Lost Tim Hardaway Jr., which that's kind of a bummer. But with LeBron there, I don't mind that team at all. LeBron and Jokic is going to be a good fit, I think. LeBron gives them some defense. LeBron can focus more on defense there, again. Defense, being a secondary playmaker, more spotting up. Now, again, I don't know if LeBron wants to do that as much. Like, it would be very fun to play with Jokic, similar to Steph. The fun factor of playing with Nikola Jokic is great. LeBron also does have a relationship with the owner, Josh Kroenke, owner of the Nuggets. So there is that piece of it that is like kind of like what's led to the pot being stirred on that. But overall, I think LeBron's in a good spot there. The reason, again, I have Miami so high, and I'm going to keep coming back to this, LeBron being able to be the lead ball handler on a team, but not be the number one option. Those are the distinctions. Number one ball handler, not number one option. Because number one option on the Heat would be Giannis. That is perfect. Like LeBron, everyone knows LeBron, I think everyone knows, LeBron is a pass-first player. That lends itself to being the number one ball handler, but not the number one scorer. And Giannis can be that. Giannis can be that guy who, when you need a bucket, you can go to him. LeBron can conserve his energy, try to spread the ball, get everyone involved, run the offense extremely well, get guys to fit in, and then just be, like, he doesn't even have to be, like, one of the 5 best defenders on his team. Like, he can be that guy who's, like, he's really good in a help position. Obviously, he can be good as a secondary rim protector. Great rebounder as always. He's been very consistent rebounder his entire career. I just love the Heat as an option. I hate to keep coming back to it to point it out, but they are just, to me, clearly the best fit. And again, the culture and all that, them playing in the East as well, I think they would have an amazing chance in the East if they were to get Bron. I think I could see them winning the East with that lineup, with the whole season to gel. It should be noted also, last week at Fanatics Fest, LeBron on his podcast, Mind the Game with Tyrese Halliburton, basically alluded to he's most likely going to be playing 25 seasons flat. So that means at least 2 years of LeBron. So that probably means he's going to go to the next team he goes to, he's going to be there for 2 years, not 1. And I think with the Heat, like 2 years with the Heat, with this core of Giannis and Bam, that sounds really good to me. Like, that is the other part. The Warriors, I feel like, don't have a lot of staying power. Like, Steph is sadly on the decline. LeBron is too. But I feel like, and with Draymond and their age, like, that makes their roster a little bit less exciting. Cleveland, I think you could obviously make it work for another 2 years. Philly, I think you could make it work for another 2 years. They're young cores. But again, I think the Heat are the best option. That's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, the comeback episode. I guess I'll spend the next few minutes just discussing what I believe the future plans for the podcast are going to be. So I didn't specify this. This is now going to be, since I first made the podcast a few years ago, I've started watching football a lot more. I love football now, almost as much as I love basketball. So we're going to be talking about both. I'm going to try to give deep dives on both, live reactions to the games, and analysis and predictions for the upcoming NFL season. So, because NFL season's coming up soon, the next few episodes that I do are going to be mainly about NFL stuff. We'll do season previews for all of the divisions. Then we'll do my predictions for what, maybe not record, but the playoffs, like who makes the playoffs, what my Super Bowl picks are going to be. Maybe not the whole bracket, just like who's going to make the playoffs, Super Bowl picks, all of that. I think that's what we're going to be doing over the next month, basically. Next month and a half till NFL season starts. That'll be the main plan. And then when basketball comes in, definitely going to be try to talk about it like a little bit here or there. At the beginning, it's always so rough because basketball is always starting in the prime of NFL season. So we're going to be talking mainly football during the next few months. Basketball will definitely put in some stuff. Maybe we'll talk about the schedule when it releases. We'll talk about we'll talk about schedule when it releases. We'll talk about the opening night games, maybe like a few things to note, maybe any transactions that happen in between now and the start of the season there. Obviously, I'll make another episode if LeBron picks his team this week. So we'll definitely be sure to do that. But other than that, there's going to be I'm going to just be experimenting with different things, trying out different topics. Like sometimes if I don't have anything like newsworthy to talk about, there are certain things on like NFL, like just like sports discourse as a whole that I'd like to touch on, just like discuss kind of in like a philosophical kind of way. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys all enjoyed watching this episode. Stay tuned for more. I don't have a specific kind of schedule yet, but as soon as I get that worked out, I'll be trying to adhere to that schedule as much as I can. So thank you so much for watching. And see you guys later.